Thanks for taking the time to chat with us today. Why has your First Nation joined in a lawsuit stipulating that the U.S. Office of Interior and the Bureau of Land Management are participating in an illegal leasing program?
Well, we've seen with the 2017 Jobs and Tax Cut Act out of the U.S. administration that they've set themselves up for a lot of illegal activities, pitting development in a wildlife refuge. And this is the calving grounds of the porcupine caribou herd, the largest land animal migration on Earth, and one in which the Gwichin Nation, which stretches from northeast Alaska through northern Yukon into the NWT, has created a partnership and struck a balance within these lands for tens of thousands of years. So for the U.S. administration to suddenly come in, as well as undermine their own processes, democratic and legal, just to get at development, is a cause for great concern for our nation.
The U.S. government released an environmental review, which many groups in the lawsuit have said was plagued with errors. Can you tell us what are your thoughts on that review?
Well, this is indicative of what we've seen out of this administration. The past Secretary of Interior also left because of some controversies. The leader of the Bureau of Land Management left to go work with the oil and gas industry, but not before the administration stripping the Department of Fish and Wildlife Services in Alaska. So they've also expedited this entire process. So we see a degradation of environmental assessment consultation, which has not happened with the Vuntut Gwichin or the Gwichin Tribal Council, a lot of our Canadian counterparts. It's a long story short, they're railroading their own processes and moving as quickly as possible for development sake.
Proponents of the drilling have said only 1.5 million acres of about 20 million will be drilled, and that heavy equipment will be limited in the area when calving season starts. What are your thoughts on those claims?
Those are euphemisms, and although they may sound nice, I liken it a lot to surgery on the human body. You know, it's one thing if you have to get surgery, let's say, on your hand, but if there's surgery on your heart, that's an entirely different matter. And this area has been selected by the caribou, which have been in this area for 2 million years. They've chose this specific area for their calving. 200 migratory species of birds from every continent also rest or roost in this area. For all that and more, it is an extremely fragile area that sits on an ocean of permafrost. But the dichotomy is that it's also a wellspring of strength, driving ecosystems. So for any development or any presence in this area, this is one area that we simply cannot be considering. And really, it's very difficult to work with our partners and to work with the U.S. administration. Then when everything is for sale, nothing can be sacred.
The Vuntut Gwichin have recently appealed the Prime Minister's office for a public statement of support. Have you heard anything from the Prime Minister's office yet?
We haven't heard from the Prime Minister's office to date, but we have had the Federal Minister of Environment, Minister Wilkinson, come out in a strong public statement supporting the Gwichin Nation and the Gwichin way of life. We have partners all across North America, from the Jane Goodall Foundation. We've had also a number of financial institutions such as Wells Fargo, Goldman and Sachs, Morgan and Co. Just to name a few, some of the largest international financiers reflect in their policy that they will not finance in this area. And we are also still waiting to hear from Canadian banks as well as the Prime Minister. As we all know here in Canada, that the caribou is donned on the back of the quarter.
Well, thank you. That's all the time that we have for today, but I really appreciate you chatting with us and giving us some context to the situation going on.
I really appreciate this, as this is an issue that really marks our generation, and we are witnessing here a huge movement towards ecocide and Indigenous people standing together for all of our lands together as Canadians and Americans. Very important, must be.
Well, thanks again. We'll certainly be following this.